Welcome to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Ain't another place that has got more bombast. Romp past your mom, dad's listening to Tomcats. Talking everything that make you sad. We don't want that. We're here to make you smile. Put your mind at ease. Peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Keanu Reeves. This what we about. This some weeding now. We'll talk until we can't no more, and then we peacing out. Alright, let's go. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome in to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Today, we continue our comic book movie journey through film with Batman Begins, released on June 15th, 2005, written by Christopher Nolan and David S. Goyer, and directed by Christopher Nolan. I am Colton Robertson. I am joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
What up, what up? Always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. And back like she never left, Clare DeGennaro. Thank you for joining us once again.
Oh, thanks so much for having me.
Oh, of course. It's always a pleasure, especially since you joined us last for the last Batman movie on this project. We did Batman and Robin just a couple months back. And you know, it's a refreshing change of pace to discuss Batman Begins in comparison to such a film. How do you feel about this movie? What are your overall thoughts?
I love this movie. I forgot how much I love this movie. I think it usually gets overshadowed by its successor, The Dark Knight.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's just a testament to how good The Dark Knight is that it could follow something like this, because this is a really good movie.
I love this movie, and I have the piping hot take that this is the best Batman movie of the trilogy. You know,
I don't think it's that piping hot. You know, not
cool.
Maybe for the general public, I'd say a lot of people, they really love their Joker, they really love their Heath Ledger.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I don't think so. Piping hot. That's the kind of gist I got from this rewatch. Was the one you're like, yeah, coming from Batman and Robin. I'm like, what's the last Batman movie we watched? I'm like, what are we coming off, you know, and getting that? Because I'm like, every Batman movie before, they've been fun, and I've liked them. You know, they're different. But this one,
there's a change.
There's a definite change, and a good one at that. But yeah, this I don't think it is that piping hot to say.
Cool. I don't necessarily think it's the best movie. I think it's the best Batman movie.
I like that distinction.
Yeah, I think that it's a better Batman movie than The Dark Knight, because I mean, he falls to the side in that movie so substantially, and he's obviously the main character of this one. And I just think The Dark Knight Rises is a steaming hot pile of shit. Personally, don't like The Dark Knight Rises. But I do love this movie. There's so much to enjoy about this movie, and there's so much that you know, Christian Bale, you know, I think coming off of, you know, Michael Keaton and then Val Kilmer and then George Clooney, he had to take it in his own direction, you know. And I think that Christian Bale never would have been like, oh, I gotta try and do something that someone else has done before. You know, he's a very good actor, and I think he's the best actor who has played Bruce Wayne.
That's fair.
I don't know that he's the best Batman there is, but I think he's the best actor who has played him, you know. And he does a really good job.
This, you know, usually for the comic book movies, we like it should be the titular character who, like, you like out of the movie the best, or like at least has the most fulfilling character arc or something of, you know, like that. And this one, I think, is why this one is such a better Batman movie. Like, this is his origin here. This is like, we're actually focused on Batman and Bruce, and like very, very much so part of the story. And then I think the reason a lot of people like The Dark Knight is because of the villains, not actually Batman. Like, it's like, right. They hoist him up on a level because the villains are just so good that Batman is just kind of right there with him. But this one, you actually like get the nitty gritty parts of the story and like why he acts the way he does, why, the decisions he made, like the no kill rule, like I love how, how that's handled here. And like, I don't know, the origins and
I think they fumble the bag hard towards the end with it, but
it's a very, I don't know. I guess he arrived at the note, like when he throws the gun into the, that part, not like the end of, with Roz.
I think they do a really good job in a lot of regards, I think, and far more good than there is bad, in this one, which is not something you can say for a lot of the comic book movies we've been watching recently. But let's go around and maybe get some thoughts on maybe a favorite scene. Let's come in hot. Claire, what's your favorite scene in this movie?
Favorite scene? It's a very random scene. It's a very short scene. My favorite scene, though, is when Gordon is comforting young Bruce in the police station. I kind of always have missed that, and rewatching it this time, I was like, oh, wow, I forgot that that's where his trust in Gordon comes from. And it's just really sweet. There are a lot of really nice moments with father figures in this movie that I've never noticed before. And to the point where I was actually Googling Christopher Nolan. I'm like, what's going on with him and his father? Like, why? But, I really like that scene. I like, this is like my favorite Gordon too, so.
I can't blame you there. Can't knock you one bit. Gary Oldman as Commissioner Gordon, or Sergeant Gordon, and then Lieutenant Gordon.
Yeah, not quite.
Is really, really good. And that scene, it is something that, I think that, I've never watched the Gotham TV series, which feels like something they kind of key in on, is that specific moment. But I don't think they explore that a lot in many other Batman things, like that's such a cool way to introduce the idea of Bruce's trust in one specific police officer, doesn't go to anyone else, you're one of the good ones, as he puts it. He's got a much more personal reason for him being one of the good ones than just seeing him be a good cop. He's like, you told me, you wrapped a jacket around me and told me everything would be okay.
Perfect. That reveal in Rises, like that, like, how, because he tells Rachel in this one, he always just can't be like, I'm Bruce Wayne or I'm Batman. The reveal has to be, like, to let them internalize it and figure it out first. But like, we don't get that with Gordon, but like, we do get the scene that he eventually calls back to, which is really cool. And like that, you just needed to let a little boy know everything was okay in the world, before I go off and sacrifice myself and blow up a nuke, let you know who I am.
Yeah,
Fun fact, we will not have a Batman movie where he doesn't reveal his secret identity to someone until The Batman.
Wow.
Every single movie, he tells someone he's Batman, or someone figures it out.
Because Gordon is for Rises, but who's in...
Is it Two-Face? Two-Face.
I think Two-Face does. I'm pretty sure Two-Face figures it out. Yeah, I think Harvey Dent.
I feel like Joker figures it out too.
Yeah, there's something there. I can't remember. We'll find out though.
But no, I don't know, that was like his origin. Like, I've always watched this movie knowing that The Dark Knight comes afterwards. Like, I think I watched The Dark Knight first before I watched Batman Begins, actually. Like, I feel like I watched Batman Begins sometime in my childhood, because I remember, like, Roz, and I remember the training, and, like, all the ninja stuff, because I guess I was just into that as a kid. But, like, I don't remember the end, like the Gotham storyline with the water vapor. I don't know. Like, maybe I was just too young to understand what was going on or something, and I was just
convoluted. I mean,
yeah, it's very convoluted, and they do their best to exposition the hell out of it, to try their best to explain it to you. There's multiple scenes where someone goes, "Oh God, if they reach this point, then the whole city's water supply is fucked." Like that happens on a couple different occasions, and even then, you don't like. The people in the control center are like, "Oh my God, it's moving through the city and it's slowly getting closer and closer. We don't know why." And then they look out and the train's there and they're like, "Oh God, that's it." That's
little sense. But...
No, but I dig it. Like, they're usually, it's a third act that's kind of in the middle, I feel, of like out there and then like fully contained. Like we've had a lot of movies where like by the third act sometimes it just goes crazy and they're like, where the fuck did you guys think I don't know, like crazy that you went there. This one I feel like is kind of in the middle. Like it still is very contained. It's just Gotham. It's just, I think the only crazy part is that there's a weapon that can make water instantly into vape, air that you can breathe. That's the most like crazy part of it. But like it feels very like real, as in like the Riddler's attack on Gotham, like in the newest Batman movie, where like that feels like kind of someone could do, like that feels like kind of real. Like I don't know, it kind of get that. Just
Bane taking over the island of Manhattan in The Dark Knight Rises. It's like that's unlikely, but goddamn, if there was a way to do it, it'd be the way he did it.
Yeah, so like it's not that out there.
I do like how they wrap in like the drug and then in the flower from the beginning, and then that's like the drug that they use. I do think that's very clever. It's definitely a different kind of storyline, and I do like that it's contained to Gotham.
I do too. That was something that occurred to me while I was watching it. I was like, God, the Batman did a really good job of this, but I feel like it's been so long since we've had a story that wasn't like world or galaxy implicating in something, like it's and just watching it and being like, Gotham is what's going to be affected. Like if you don't save the city will tear itself apart. That's the entire thing. I fucking love that. It's very simple. It's very straightforward. And it's just like, save the city, and I really appreciate that. One thing that is interesting about this movie is it's, not only is it the successor to 4 Batman movies that are quite fantastical and quite out there, it subverts a lot of expectations by still being pretty fantastical. Like there is a lot of this movie, like Scarecrow in and of himself is like, somehow this guy is in charge of Arkham Asylum, and nobody's thinking it's weird whenever somebody walks into an interrogation room perfectly fine and then walks out of the room completely fucking nuts. I don't know. Maybe someone should look into that.
It's the League of Shadows. They've got into every department that they could. That's what Roz was like. He's like, we our weapons, they got more advanced. We tried economics, or whatever. He's
there was always somebody in the way.
Yeah, we tried to get you down, but we didn't expect for the 2 people, or the citizens.
That was something that I actually appreciated a lot more on this watch, more than I have previously, is that like at the beginning, whenever Ducard is fighting, like training Bruce, and he's like, your father was weak. He's got like a personal beef with Thomas Wayne.
Yeah.
Like that's something I'd never really considered until the end of this movie, when he's like, and your father was always in the way. And it's like, there's a personal level to it that's really, really compelling. And, I do struggle with some of the adaptation stuff. For example, Ra's al Ghul is a white man.
Yeah. He's evil Qui-Gon, essentially.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I like Liam Neeson. I think he does well in the role. Like he does. Yeah. He does an amazing job. But yeah, it's just Ra's al Ghul. I mean, come on. Like you don't have to know anything about the comics at all. You just hear that name and you're like, that's not a white guy. Like I don't know. It's pretty cut and dry there. But
I mean, like this is a problem that they have later with The Dark Knight Rises as well with Bane. Tom Hardy. Stand-up job, does a wonderful job. It's also just not a white guy. It's just not what Bane is. And there's a few things like, and I think it preoccupies itself so much with the subverting expectations and trying to make it a twist that it doesn't think about the implication of making Ra's al Ghul a white guy. It's just like, well, of course you'd think Ra's al Ghul was Ken Watanabe, like. Of course you'd think that was Ra's al Ghul, but actually he was Liam Neeson all along. And it's like, oh yeah, but that's, why that sucks, right? You know why that's bad.
Yeah, I guess I didn't even think about that they needed to hide, because I'm watching, like, even on this watch, I know the twist, it's not like, oh, that's Ra's, or whatever.
I forgot when the twist happened, though. I kind of thought the twist happened, like, in the League of Shadows, so I was kind of surprised when it came later.
Right.
I knew it was coming, but I thought that he had known that previously.
Well, what's also interesting is that I think the twist could have worked even without Ducard being Ra's al Ghul.
It could have been. It didn't have to be a white guy. It could have
He's
been.
like, I'm the guy who trained you,
Yeah. Could have just been
and
another.
my loyalty's still to them.
Yeah.
You tore that down. Now I tear you down.
If anything, it's more glaring that like Ra's al Ghul is the only white guy, or that Liam Neeson's the only white guy there. It's like, doesn't that a red flag? Like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's like I could see it being like sort of like a Godfather, like the role Robert Duvall plays, where he's like the consigliere to Marlon Brando. Like that's kind of what Ducard was. If Marlon Brando goes down, you know what Robert Duvall's going to have something to say about it. That's what Ducard should have been. I think. You know, I don't think he should have been like actually he was Ra's al Ghul all along. I think that's kind of for one, it wasn't needed, and for two, it was just kind of needless to make that sort of twist. Like, it's just like there was enough of a twist in the betrayal of someone that Bruce looked at as a friend in Ducard. You know, like that was the man who trained him and he trusted him. And, you know, if he comes back and he's like, actually, my loyalty's to the League of Shadows, that's enough, I think. I don't think it needs to be like, actually, it was Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah. It's even logistically, like, how does that work? He created the League of Shadows in Tibet or wherever he is. Like, I don't know. I haven't thought about it that deeply.
I guess he's been around. You know, he was responsible for London, for Rome. You know, I guess maybe the League of Shadows was responsible. I don't know if he was claiming himself.
Well, and there's also an interesting thing that, like, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just wondering, like, how did he end up in charge of this? Like, logistically, I don't really see how that makes sense now that I think about it.
There's an interesting thing that I'm not entirely familiar with Ra's al Ghul's comics persona. I'm pretty sure that, like, you know, the Lazarus pit restores his life and he can live for an extended long period of time. So there is a chance that it was him and the bloodlust that he feels from the Lazarus pit puts him, but like that's something they're just not going to explore in Batman Begins. It's just not the type of movie it is. But the way they treat it in like Arrow, I don't know if you guys have ever watched Arrow, where it's like a title to be passed down. Like Stephen Amell's Arrow defeats Ra's al Ghul and becomes Ra's al Ghul. Like that's like his. It's like a mantle almost, which is I don't think that's exactly how it's treated in comics, but it'd be interesting if that's like what they were going for with this. You know, like not that he was actually Ra's al Ghul, but now he's Ra's al Ghul. You know, like then even I could get more behind it. You know, but they don't make it clear enough, you know.
I'm just thinking about Dark Knight Rises. Does he come up again in Dark Knight Rises?
They mention a Ra's al Ghul, or an Al Ghul, but it's Talia. It's his daughter.
Oh, okay. That's his daughter, right?
Yes, his daughter, Talia al Ghul. She pops up in Rises.
I don't ever remember anything about that.
I think the only time, is it in Rises or Dark Knight, where like he talks to Liam Neeson in a cell again? Does that happen, or am I just remembering wrong? Like, I feel like it's like a dream.
The beginning of this movie.
Yeah, but I feel like it was maybe
like
he wasn't alive. It was like a hallucination. Maybe.
Oh, like when he's in the pit.
Maybe I could be just mixing up scenes. I could be like mixing up the scene where he's actually in this prison cell talking to him.
Well, because that's what's also interesting is that like Bane is an agent of the League of Shadows later on in the Dark Knight Rises. So they did their best to try and maintain like an overarching threat, like the power against Batman always looming in the background was the League of Shadows, which is you know, that's compelling. It's a very compelling idea, and I think that they set that up in a really interesting way. But I just feel like there's a few things adaptation wise that I take issue with, and you know, for the glaring example, I feel like is you know, a little bit of a Daredevil 2003 thing where he's like, I won't kill you, but that doesn't mean I have to save you.
Right.
It's like he's the one that is responsible for him in that situation, and I mean, hey, if he wants, so he can sleep at night, so he can say he doesn't have his no-kill rule still intact, I guess. But I feel like it could have been done some other way. Like I don't know how to rewrite it differently. You know, like maybe he had to go do something. Like, I mean, obviously this is the most important thing, that he needs to be on that train and needs to stop it before it gets to Wayne Tower, or else, kaboom, and all bad. So, like, obviously that's what he needs to do. But, like, I felt like there could have been something where he knows the train's going to derail, but, like, there's still time for even Roz to leave, but he chooses not to. It's not that, like, it's not like a surprise to him that, like, he's like, oh, wait, I am about to die here. Or, like, who knows if he actually dies. I don't know how Roz, if he just, who knows if he's actually dead, but I mean, I'd say.
Yeah,
so.
I was like, when the train crashed, I was like, I don't know, he could have lived through that, and then the thing exploded, and I was like,
that's
although
I was like, well, that's probably it.
That's fair. Yeah.
But
it might have worked had it been like Bruce is like reaching out to save him or something, and Roz like doesn't reach back, like refuses to be saved by him.
Yeah. That could. Oh, yeah. That's like way better. Yeah, like just.
Someone call Christopher Nolan. I need to work for him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like
people like that.
Like to make it like him think about killing the man who killed his parents. We see him like actually think about it. He has the gun. He's about to do it, but then he doesn't get the chance to, and Rachel slaps him for it. And then he's like, all right, you know what? I don't like that. He throws the gun into the. You think like, yeah, all right, he's Batman. He doesn't kill. That's his thing. And then I don't know. Just throughout the movie, there's like some cop cars that he flips over and explodes. That like I hope I mean like I don't know. I'm just nitpicking. It's movie details, but like this dude's not really that careful when it comes to not killing people.
No, I do think like that's the thing, is that it's still a better adaptation in my opinion than Michael Keaton or Ben Affleck. At least the dedication to the no kill rule is like grappled with and like addressed, and like they attempt to make a story out of it instead of being like, I'm just going to throw you in a manhole cover with a fucking bomb strapped to your chest. And we'll see what happens. Yeah. Or I've got fucking machine guns mounted on my Batmobile.
Kill you. The bomb killed you.
Yeah.
That's no kill rule still intact there. Yeah, no, but this, I like the like it's real. It feels more real here. Like Nolan like has just a very practical. He's very real about everything. So this one, it's not like Tim Burton's Gotham where you're seeing all the crazy look, but there is like still a distinct look to
dude,
this
I love
Gotham
the Narrows.
that it doesn't go into the next movie.
Nope.
Like that in Dark Knight, it's all just like Manhattan or New York, Chicago or wherever
New
they're
York.
filming. Yeah, like it's like why did they get rid of that? That was like actually a really cool part of this that I forgot. I'm like, oh man, Gotham looked like this with Nolan, and then because of Rises and Dark Knight, I'm like, yeah, that's just gone. It's just normal cityscape. But I loved how he still kept that. I don't know what, like, just that fantastical. Yeah, just it's not actually a real city. But yeah, I don't know why they got rid of that moving forward. But I really like the look of it.
It's like the city has improved in the last however many years. But between this, I feel like after watching this one, The Dark Knight seems to stand out in a way it's never really stood out before. Almost like not that it's not part of the trilogy, but it seems to be its own kind of thing. Even with it doesn't have a lot of connections with League of Shadows. It kind of just sets apart as like Joker came in, and it's a whole different kind of thing.
Oh yeah, Batman Begins and Dark Knight Rises. You could play those back to back, and you wouldn't feel like you're missing a beat. I don't think. I mean, Rachel dies in The Dark Knight, which is a big one. That does weigh on Bruce for a long fucking time. But even so, I'm pretty sure that in The Dark Knight Rises, they're just like, yeah, Rachel died, and that's all you kind of need to know. Like it's not. It's kind of it. And I do enjoy. I enjoy Katie Holmes a lot. I think that they recast with Maggie Gyllenhaal come The Dark Knight, which is I'm not sure why that happened. I'm not sure if it's scheduling conflicts or if they just wanted to go a different direction. But I don't know, man. I enjoy Katie Holmes a whole lot. I always have.
I think she is the superior Rachel for a lot of reasons. Mm-hmm. I don't particularly like Maggie Gyllenhaal's Rachel.
She at least
Maggie Gyllenhaal's acting reminds me. You guys know that TikTok chick who does the spoofs of women written by men in different settings. That's what Maggie Gyllenhaal just acts like.
Yeah. She also just feels like a completely different character than this. Like there's no, it feels like there's no history between her and Bruce in that movie. Not to get too much into The Dark Knight right now, but I just feel like Katie Holmes and Christian Bale really actually feel like they have chemistry. It feels like they actually have known each other. That scene where he walks into the kitchen and she's standing there and it's the first time they've seen each other in years feels like they're like picking up where they left off. Yeah, they just have a much more believable relationship, and I feel like The Dark Knight depends more on their relationship, and I don't think that it delivers in the way that it needs to for those emotions.
This Rachel, I feel like, is way more gung-ho about, like, the justice system and, like, making sure things are right. You know, she's, like, I guess maybe in The Dark Knight, she's kind of like that. I feel like she's just kind of in between Bruce and Harvey.
Yeah, she's reduced to a love triangle,
yeah, and that's it. But in this one, it's like, she is the one telling Bruce, like, your father would be ashamed of you right now. Like she is the one, like, telling Bruce, like, these very, very core, like, concepts to Batman, like, and what he becomes. Like, this Rachel is far more important.
In her own right, too. She has her own story. She goes off without him. She figures out the whole Scarecrow thing by herself. She actually seems like she does investigating for the DA. Like,
right.
Yeah, like, you enjoy your party, Bruce. Some of us have real jobs and real lives to get to, you know, whatever. And you know, you have that
underneath.
Yeah.
It's what I do that defines me.
That college humor, like, I swear, like,
yes.
Like, every time I watch Nolan's movies, I'm always reminded, like, whenever he drags the guy up, where are the other drugs going? And, like, I'm always thinking of, like, what's going? You know, or like, like,
you know, he does all the different voices. Yeah, no, but I love something that is, I've been back and forth on over the years is Bale's Batman voice. You know, that sort of I swear to God, man, swear to me. You know, like that deep guttural, like, that's one of my favorite line deliveries in the entire Dark Knight trilogy is "swear to me." I think that's a fantastic line, and Bale kills it. But you know, I do appreciate that in different situations he employs a different sort of voice. At least in this one, I don't remember that carrying over again to the Dark Knight or Dark Knight Rises. I feel like he always kind of has this thing going on from now on. But whenever he's talking to Rachel and Gordon, he just kind of does the low whisper thing. You know, he does a little bit more of that Keaton Pattinson sort of thing. You know, and I think this is personally, like I said, my favorite Christian Batman movie as far as how he does Batman. I think he does a great job in this one, and he definitely got my favorite performance in this one. I had no doubt about that.
Oh yeah, no, I think that's. I was talking about how, like, you hope that the titular character is the performance of the movie, like that. The performance, I feel like, that hopefully they should. Character, I was going, you know, I think that one's more of like a fun, just like a kind of whoever you're feeling for the movie, you know. But I think no one really stacks up to Christian Bale performance-wise in the movie. I think he does a phenomenal job. Like, just the training, like, all, like, I love the Ra's al Ghul training stuff. Like, I'll get past the Ra's just being a white guy and stuff like that.
No,
like,
yeah.
That's the part as a kid that I love, just all the ninja stuff, and like him. Like, I was like wanting to train like him, you know, and I would act like I was in that temple and doing his stuff, but just the actual, like, emotional moments with Rachel, like in the car, like just him going up to Falcone, like, just the scenes. I don't know. He did a phenomenal job, like, with all the emotional parts, not just the Batman part. You know, it's just playing Batman. I think as Bruce Wayne, he did a really good job as well.
I think that he's the best Bruce Wayne, at least.
I think it's there's a lot of different things going on there. It's like this Bruce Wayne is very opposite from Batman. You know, it's like he's playing the billionaire playboy role to the max to make it even more there's no way this guy could be Batman, and then you get like Pattinson's Bruce Wayne, where it's like, I'm still Batman, I'm still depressed, I'm still like dark and like I don't care, and like so it's like they're two different things, but I do kind of like him putting on his other mask, his Bruce mask, and like how Rachel describes it that way, like that like this isn't him, like in that it is a different character completely, not just like the same person. But I don't know, like I'm always back and forth of which one I like better, the eccentric billionaire playboy like Christian Bale does, or like Pattinson's kind of, you don't really get a lot of Bruce Wayne, I guess, with Pattinson, but when you do, it's just kind of like he's to himself and very secluded, and just
I really enjoy. I think Bale is definitely the best Bruce Wayne. I think there's very little doubt about that for me. And the only one, again, I know I made a comparison to him and being a bad adaptation. Ben Affleck's a fantastic Bruce Wayne as well. But that part where they're at the restaurant and he's like, they're all talking about Batman. They're like, oh, this guy, what's, and he just kind of ignores it. And then like, they're like, what do you think, Bruce? And he's like, I mean, any guy who dresses up like a bat and fights crime's got some serious fucking problems. Am I right, guys? And they're like, at least we can all agree on that. Like that's, I love that shit, and whenever he is leaving and he's covered and he's wet as fuck, and she's like, hey, Bruce. And he's like,
he's like,
damn, I didn't.
No.
I didn't want you to see me like this. This fucking sucks. Like he plays that so well, and the part at the end whenever Ducard shows up at his mansion and he has to dismiss the party, and he's like, thanks for showing up and drinking all my booze. Nah, seriously, you fucks.
It's not a joke. You freeloaders, just get out. Like,
get the fuck out of my house.
Leave. Yeah, like that starts kind of my favorite scene. Like, just like that, I think is like when the movie like starts to, like, I guess that's kind of like the beginning of the third act.
Yeah,
like,
it ushers in the third act for sure.
He's in Gotham. It's all starting, but like it just, when the mansion's burning down, and then he's going down to the Batcave. I like all that, but then like the part that happens right after, like the city's going through chaos, no one knows what to do at all, and then you have Loeb like talking to Commissioner Gordon. They finally like start talking to each other. He's like, yeah, it's chaos. Send in everything. Send in SWAT. Send in everything we have. And Loeb's like, dude, they're all on the island. Like, we don't have anyone. There's no one else. And Gordon's like, are you telling me I'm all alone? There's no one who's coming to help. And then just, oh no, you get just the Batman theme. He just jumps across. Like, I was like, oh my God. Like, I'm like, this. That's it tripped all the serotonin or dopamine, whatever.
Yeah, like I can't help but smile in that moment. I'm like, you know what? That's some Batman ass shit.
It was pretty corny, I guess, but
so God. Well, we were talking in Batman and Robin, like how campy and stupid everything is, and it's like that's kind of the core of Batman. He just does it in a way that's really, like we said before, feels kind of real. So like all that campy silliness is really kind of rewarding because you've seen him grow into this.
Well, there's that line that Ducard delivers when he sees him in his Batman costume for the first time, and is like, "Wow, you took my theatricality advice a bit literally, didn't you not?" That's
They deploy humor really well in this movie.
Oh, they do.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no, and even in that scene right there, he's trapped under the log, and Alfred comes up to him and he's like, you telling me all those bloody push-ups and you can't lift a log? Or I don't know.
Telling me all these bloody push-ups. Yeah, Michael Caine's voice.
Come on, man. Yeah, Alfred, just the staple of every Batman movie there is. No matter how shitty the Batman movie is, the Alfred's always just up to the gold standard, it seems.
I feel like this is peak Alfred.
This is the Alfred if I'm thinking of Alfred in my head, it's Michael Caine. He's my Alfred. And I have him in there for character just because I love this Alfred staple of Batman, and I remember for the other Batman movies, I'm like, Alfred will always be my character in every Batman movie. But I think this one is actually like, I think I'll go with Batman for like the actual character, like the origin story, like the actual that was told of Batman. I love Alfred. I love the joke. Or it's not even really a joke, but like I do really think like they are just a really nice cherry on top of every Batman movie. But this one was, I think I can't really give it to anyone other than Batman for both here.
No, I love that. I love that. Claire, what about you? Your favorite performance and character? Was your favorite performance also Christian Bale?
Yeah, I'm gonna say Christian Bale for performance, definitely. And I think actually for this one character, I'm gonna go with Rachel.
Love it.
Just like her. I like her a lot in this one. I wish that she was in the next one. But I wonder if Dark Knight was when she was getting out of Scientology.
All right. Yeah, Katie Holmes has been through a lot. Yeah, she. I remember there's a really, really weird interview with Tom Cruise. Have you guys ever seen that where he's talking about how much he loves Katie Holmes? Another once Scientologist. Well, Tom Cruise is still a Scientologist. But it's like my dad showed me this video because I'm watching all the Mission Impossible movies in anticipation of the new one. And I've never watched them because I'm not a big Tom Cruise fan. Just not a big fan of the guy. And he showed me a clip of an interview. I can't remember what show it was on, but they were talking about Katie Holmes, and he like got up on like a couch and like was jumping up and down and was like, "Oh, I love Katie Holmes. I love Katie Holmes." And it was like, my dad was like, "This was when I knew this dude wasn't like okay in the head." It was like years ago. It's just so bizarre.
Really weird situation, really bad situation.
Yeah, I love me some Katie Holmes though. She's fantastic. You know, another role that I always think of with her, which is hilarious because it's so minor. She's in like one episode of How I Met Your Mother. Yeah, she's in one episode of How I Met Your Mother, and she plays a character called the Slutty Pumpkin, where she dresses up in a pumpkin costume for Halloween, where the eyes are cut out around her boobs. So like that's what makes it a slutty Halloween costume. And she plays just like one of those love interests that Ted, the main character, is like always been like, he's always longed for her. He met her 10 years ago at Halloween, and he's been looking for her ever since. And he finally meets her, and they just do not click. And it's very, very funny because Katie Holmes is hilarious.
Yeah, I was reading it. Just apparently, it was her decision not to come back. She said she just wanted to explore other options, and she felt that it wasn't right at the time. But then there's also a lot of like what the real reason is of why she didn't return. So I don't know if that's true or it could all just be speculation for the other stuff. But
I don't know if that was when she was going through the divorce too. It was just like very public.
Yeah, a lot going on for her in the late 2000s. That was a big period of time for her in celebrity, but
glad Rachel's getting a character nod though.
She deserves
like
it.
Out of this movie because like she is kind of like if there is a father figure for Bruce, it's Gordon. You know, right now it's the one he kind of goes to. You know, even like standing right outside his apartment, whatever. But then if there is a mother, it's not really a mother figure, more of just their siblings, like almost, you know, kind of like they know each other. It's who to go to. It's Rachel. Like Rachel is his rock.
She's the girl next door. She's and
like,
which Katie Holmes basically invented in Dawson's Creek. So
right
for that, but yeah, their relationship feels believable, and I feel like even in superhero movies in general, any kind of romantic relationship feels very either to the side, a subplot, something that doesn't really feel like they're just adding it in because they need to have a romantic subplot. Theirs feels like we thought about this, we thought about why you might have this connection, and she's responsible for a lot of the gift. Yeah, she's responsible for a lot of, you know, what he believes as a superhero. So she's important in this one at least.
No, I love that. That's a great character nod. You know, I think that, and like I'm with you. I do think Katie Holmes is my preferred Rachel, and she does fantastic in this movie, man. And there's that
quite the trip through that horror. You know, when she was riding to Bruce, like the Batcave,
right,
throwing the cops, like
he's like just
like okay, she knows Batman's a thing at that point. But, like, in her mind, she went to an insane asylum. She saw that, like, oh, they're putting all these drugs and whatever. She gets hit with Scarecrow's, whatever gas, and then like just it's a super concentrated dose. She's already like passing out in the building there. Like she's seen Scarecrow and is already scared and like everything. But then like she kind of regains consciousness in the Batmobile, looks over, sees Batman flying at like, and they're flying at like 200 miles an hour. He's like, try to remain calm. And she's like, what the, it's like, what, like, holy shit, like just stay with me. Like it had to have been the worst trip of all time. Like that, I couldn't imagine that road trip. And just that ride that she went on, it was terrible. But I don't know.
I love the part whenever she's like following Crane through the courthouse, and like her trying to confront him, and then him being like, "Oh, Mr. District Attorney, you better get a hold on this woman." And she's just like, "This motherfucker." Like, I just love me some Rachel, man. She's a great character in this.
She's really a threat to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100. Like Carmine Falcone is putting a fucking hit on her head. You know, like it's no fucking joke.
She's what, 30 at that point?
Yeah, can't be much, because apparently Bruce Wayne's turning 30, which I don't know how much.
That. I was like, oh my god, I thought he was so much older.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't believe Christian Bale is a 30-year-old man in this. I feel like he's just a little older than that, but maybe that's just because I don't know. We fast approach the age of 30, and I don't like thinking that I'm the same age as Christian Bale at one point. Christian Bale's always been so much older than me. I don't like thinking about that. But with like the 30 balloons in the background, I was like, no fucking way, man. Just don't buy that. No, Rachel's a great choice. I actually ended up going with Lucius Fox. Love me some Morgan Freeman. Yeah, man. And that's the thing, is that you were thinking about going with Alfred. You went with Rachel.
I went with Alfred now. Now that we have like a Rachel and Lucius, maybe we just get the trifecta of the supporting.
The supporting cast. The time they took to explore it and give them a meaningful relationship to Bruce is something that pays off in a way that I don't think we've really had with a lot of other superhero movies. Like the only other thing I can think of is kind of like maybe Spider-Man with Mary Jane and Aunt May and stuff like that. Like that might be the only other case. Even like Superman 78 doesn't do as good a job. Ma and Pa Kent are kind of non-existent in that movie. Like I know Lois gets a lot of exploration, but that's about it. There's not a lot.
Yeah. These are some side characters that are really
prominent
and really cool. Like it's cool. Like you feel more like in on their circle. Like sort of thing. Like it's like the circle's so small, and like you have Lucius, the brainiac science guy that can do anything in a lab. You have Alfred. That's
you don't tell me what you're doing. I can't. I don't have to lie.
Yeah, like don't think of me as an idiot, or like I'm not dumb.
But don't take me for an idiot.
Like Morgan.
And he goes like, "Didn't you get the memo?" Like,
didn't you get the memo?
Oh, that scene is so good.
I took your job.
Like whoever, who is the
that piece of shit.
Earl, is that his name?
Yeah, Earl.
Yeah. He fires Fox, and he's like, that's how we fire, or like, don't get the memo, that's how he fires him. But then also at the mansion before it gets burned down, he's like, don't worry, it's all a little technical through foundations and whatever, but the main thing is that the future of your company is secure. So like
our company.
Oh yeah. Oh, even better.
Because that's what Christian Bale calls back to. He's like, my company.
He gets the double whammy. Like, like he gets it from Bruce being like, oh, didn't you? Like it's all a little technical, whatever. But
Yeah.
And then
you get the memo.
Fox, it's like just it felt so good.
Yeah, you're fucking fired, dude.
Yeah,
that's how you know that the characters were built up well, because that's a character who has like 5 minutes of screen time.
Right.
This moment is so cathartic and so great to see that.
Yeah.
Really good ensemble cast, I would say.
Yeah.
Well, and we haven't even mentioned Cillian Murphy Scarecrow, dude.
That's true. Yeah,
he's fucking incredible in this movie. Not to mention that Cillian Murphy is potentially at his most gorgeous ever in this movie. That man's fucking beautiful.
Looking
like,
I mean, he's a little. It's an interesting role. This one, like he has to play like this villain, but also a little crazy as well. Like you have the sense that he like he's been given him, like, I don't know, like, what to think, because he can, like, sort of withstand his own stuff. Like, he knows what's going to happen. Maybe he just knows it so well that he knows what's going to happen. Like, he's afraid at first, but then he's like, Dr. Crane isn't here right now, or whatever, like, he starts to go into that, and it's like,
oh, I think that's shock. Like, I think that's straight up like,
you think?
I'm not even in my own head right now, bro. Like, Dr. Crane is not here. Don't talk. Because that's my favorite shot is, my favorite shot in the movie is whenever Crane gets dosed with his scarecrow gas and he's seeing Batman the way that he sees him. And that, like, all black, like, dude, disgusting.
Like, yeah.
I think that's incredible because that's practical work. That's incredible makeup and like scary, like genuinely frightening. And that's something that I think this movie reckons with in such a compelling way, is like the fear and the stuff that is scary. And Scarecrow, I mean, like there's not a better villain to explore that than with Scarecrow. And like my favorite, like what probably is my favorite line delivery in this movie is from Cillian Murphy. And it's not my favorite line. I don't think it might be, but my favorite line delivery is whenever they're like in an alley and then Batman, like the lights go down and he's like, oh, he's here. The Batman, and he's like kind of horned up for him, like it almost feels like sensual almost. He's like, he's here. Yeah. So he's like really, he's like excited and like titillated almost. Like, I love that shit. It's a very good line read by Cillian Murphy there, and a
lot of good line readings in this movie.
Oh, so many goodies.
He's talking to Rachel. He's like, it's not convenient, and he like hits that T at the end. I remember my childhood watching this movie. I don't know why, but
dude, yeah, that man's a fantastic actor, which is I'm so glad we got to watch him in Oppenheimer last week.
Oh, yes.
You guys did?
It's we're far in advance. What's funny is we're about to recording time. We're about to start our Christopher Nolan director spotlight next week, but we get a like soft preview with Batman Begins. Like it's it's nice and
that lined up. But yeah, loved him in Oppenheimer. Oh my God, was his performance?
Oh God, Cillian Murphy was so good at that. He's so great. Claire, thank you so much for joining us earlier this week on Barbie. That was awesome. That was such a great episode.
I mean, the movie of the year, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. No, yeah, this is it's all coming at a very fun time for us here. The Batman Begins episode. But Cillian Murphy was fantastic in this movie. Very flies under the radar when you talk about the Batman Dark Knight trilogy villains.
Yeah.
People point to Heath Ledger, they point to Bane, they point to Tom Hardy, but like I think he's right there with Harvey Dent. Like those two performances, they fly under the radar because you got Joker in The Dark Knight with Two-Face, so people don't go to Two-Face as much, but that performance is incredible, and I think Cillian Murphy's right there, man. And he flies under the radar because of Ra's al Ghul and all the shit that happens there. Like it's just he's one of the most compelling parts of this movie, and when he returns,
he's a villain than Ra's al Ghul, I would say.
Oh yeah, 100%. But when he returns in The Dark Knight Rises, when the city's fallen into chaos, and he's like the judge residing over everything.
Oh no!
Yeah, exactly.
Him like riding through the what's the Narrows? Yeah, that's what it was called. Like him riding through the Narrows, like on a horse, like screaming, like I forgot what he says, but it was like. I don't know. That was just bad. Like that was just.
I also love that this dude just. Yeah, I was gonna say, this dude just has a horse. He's just like, you know what? I'm gonna ride through the streets tonight on a horse. They never address how he got the horse. Maybe he owns it. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. Maybe he just stole it from somewhere. I don't know. Gotham doesn't strike me as the horse. Yeah,
just chaos. You don't know what to expect. They let Arkham loose. All those guys are just loose. There could have been a horse.
There's one of my favorite pieces of like stage fighting ever when they're about to let Arkham loose. It's just one little shot, one little cutaway, where it's just a couple of Raz's goons. They walk up to the dude who controls like Arkham security, and they just fucking thwack the guy. Like one punch just like the hardest stage punch I've ever seen in my life. I can't. It happens at the same time that Ducard's speaking to Bruce in his manner. Like it's like his whole plan is about to take into effect and everything, and they're showing everything going. It's going the way it's going, and these dudes walk right up to this guy and just one punch drop his ass. And it's one of the best pieces of stage fighting I've ever seen. It's hilarious. Every time I watch it, I get a little kick out of it because they just knock the shit out of that guy.
Man, yeah, I'm not remembering it, but I'm trying to.
No, it doesn't stand out. I noticed it like a few years ago, and ever since I can't not notice it. Every time I see it, I think it's so fucking funny. Like I wouldn't expect anyone to know exactly what I'm talking about. It's just that specific moment always makes me giggle a little bit, and I absolutely adore it. But there's a lot of really. I like the kinetic action in this movie. I have my qualms with the editing of action sequences in the Dark Knight trilogy, and I think that this one, there's a purpose to it. When he first drops down and he fights for the first time in his bat suit, and you never get a good look at him because they don't get a good look at him. So it's elusive, and there's like a rhythm to it. Each cut comes after like a certain amount of time, and it's like, I get it, but I'm like, hey man, if you're gonna do a fight scene, I'd like to see it. That'd be cool.
Yeah, like you can portray the idea that they're not seeing him well, but we're the viewer,
right.
Let's just in Pattinson, whenever he came out, we saw him in suit for the first time. It was slow, bonk.
Yeah.
Bonk.
Oh yeah.
Bonk. And then you just see him wail on a guy. We're all looking at that, that's an introduction there of Batman. But I think that it's just different, handled differently. It's like they have to he's using fear. Like that I always love that story, like part of the story for Batman, like how fear's a tool and how I could.
Why a bat, Master Bruce? Because bats frighten me.
Time my enemies, or
share my dread.
Yeah,
overestimates how scary bats are. I'm like, bats are fine. Although he has a whole bat army in this one, I never really clocked that.
Right.
I'm like, why does he never use that again?
He's like Ant-Man with the fucking ants,
Like, it's giving Ant-Man. You never see them again.
And he had a little thing in his boot that made the
signal
noise that attracted them all. But he was kind of sitting there concentrating real hard for a second. You also had he was you had the idea that that thing was calling them, but he also had some control in his brain somehow. I don't know, at least it's what it seemed to come off as. He was really, unless he's just waiting for the dramatic timing of it all, because he does play stuff up to be
the theatricality of it.
He needed to wait for the perfect time for him to jump down and then land as Gordon is at the bottom of the steps.
When he changes the signal so that they all do a different thing.
Yeah.
That's fucking cool, man.
When did this happen?
Right. The fact that he that's also
them,
yeah. Right. Is it just a certain frequency that only bats can hear, so they all just kind of fly towards it? So he's like, this bat should come when I do this. Let's see.
I don't question it. I just know he has some control over him.
I fucking love it though. Yeah, that's one of my favorite scenes in the movie. Whenever his theme kicks in for the first time is during that moment. Is whenever he flies down in the bats. That shit's that's fucking cool. Hans Zimmer did his thing once again.
Love me some Hans Zimmer. Oh yeah, always love me some Hans Zimmer. Yeah, I love the bats. I think that's my favorite. My shot was either the one of him jumping down through all the bats, or whenever he's finding the bat cave for the first time, and then those bats all start to fly, and he just slowly stands up with them. He's not afraid of them anymore, and he's just standing there as they're all just flying around him. I think that I'll probably go with that one because it's more great. You get the cave, the bat cave, and the foundation in the background, which is really cool. So if I had to pick one, I'd go with that one. But I don't know. Every time bats were in it, actually pretty sick. I wonder why they just decided not to have that as an option in his tool bag anymore. Maybe it's just because it was already done and they didn't want to repeat.
Like, we're not doing that again.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, they also rebuild the Batcave going forward, so maybe like they just don't have the bats there. They're just like, be free, my friends. Go do
Let them
what
all
you
go.
will.
Yeah. He knew he's take their home. He's like, just go find a different cave. This one's on.
Yeah, right. No, there's a lot to like about this movie. Another one of the shots that I almost went with was when he entered the cave before the bats even got to him, or that he even got to the bats. Like the moment he steps in, I've had this idea in my head that, Christopher Nolan's a talented filmmaker. There's no doubt. But I only have a few of his movies where I'm like, oh, I actively really, really like this. Most of them just kind of, I watch them and I'm like, yeah, it was solid. Go, and I'll move on, and because part of that is that I've always had it in my head that he's kind of visually dull. There's not a lot that I enjoy looking at when I'm watching a Christopher Nolan movie. Mm-hmm. But this movie was a little different than that in a lot of regards. There were a lot of moments whenever I was watching where I was like, God damn, that's a pretty shot. And one of them was as soon as he entered the cave, it was just really dramatically lit, and he was like silhouetted with like the like little bit of sunshine kind of like trimming him, which was, it was a very, very pretty shot. And like I said, this one's better than a lot of his movies in that regard, but it's still, there are a lot of moments where I'm like, I don't know, man, you probably could have made that look a little bit better, in my opinion.
It's definitely a polar opposite of, like I don't know, I'm coming off fresh of a Wes Anderson movie, so I mean, it's definitely like, you get that visual sense in one movie, and this,
right.
Nolan's way more in the realism, the dark, gritty, ness of Gotham and everything, which, I think is, I think it works well for his movies. I think it does give them like a sense of legitimacy a little more than like, if it were to be like a Tim Burton kind of Gotham. Like even his Narrows, even though they lost that from, into like The Dark Knight, I still think like it was still real enough where like it wasn't like, oh, that's Tim Burton style. That was like, oh no, that could have been like, that's just a really shitty, damn, that would suck to live there. Like that. It's just pretty real. So I think it works for his movies. But it would be interesting to maybe see like, I think because it's so real, they lose focus on like, oh, maybe let's set the camera up here to make it look beautiful, even though like it is still real what you're seeing, but like maybe we could shoot it in a better way or something like that.
Yeah, it often looks very muddy and kind of dark.
Yeah, no, there's the director of photography on this one was Wally Pfister, who was his cinematographer from Memento through Dark Knight Rises. Every movie he did The Prestige, he did Batman Begins, he did The Dark Knight, he did Inception, like he did all those, and I think that kind of makes sense. I feel like there's been a shift visually in Christopher Nolan from Interstellar on, where there's a little bit of a different thing going on. So it makes sense that he had one cinematographer for all these movies, because I feel like the visual language of them is pretty consistent. And I don't actively not enjoy it. It's just that I don't enjoy it. It's just kind of there, it's just kind of presented to me. Which I'd prefer to really like it, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I guess the enjoyment's just coming from different places, like it's like I'm seeing Batman on screen do Batman things. That's like I don't really care how it's shot. It would be very, very nice if it was shot well, but like it doesn't need to be for me to actually still have fun with it. Like Batman could just say anything and I'm gonna like it, pretty much automatically.
That's why I like, Matt Reeves, the Batman. I was like pretty consistently, I was watching the movie last night and going, man, this could have looked a lot better, couldn't it have?
That movie is shot pretty well, huh?
Yeah.
There's so many shots that you just remember from that movie. I can think of so many off the top of my head that I'm like, oh, that's so beautiful. I can't really, even before I watched it again, I was like, I don't remember any specific shot. I remember specific scenes. I remember specific lines I like. I remember specific line readings. But in terms of shots, I was like, usually I go into these movies having an idea of what my favorite shot is, but I really didn't.
Right.
This one.
Yeah, this one I like. Even the shot I went with, it's not because of the composition of the shot or the way that it looks. It's literally just because of the way Batman looks in that moment. You know, I'm like, that's kind of gnarly. That's cool. You know.
Yeah, my shot's even more for like the moment of like Bruce standing up with his bats in the cave. It's more of like the moment and not that, because like the shot itself, the freeze frame, like it's not really that pretty looking. It's just a shit ton of bats everywhere. You can barely see anything. You can see the cave behind all the bats and stuff. So it's like not really visually that great, but no, I love it. Like I every time it comes out, it makes you know. I know I'm not Batman at all, but like while I'm watching, I'm like, yeah, I could be.
Yeah,
Batman.
I could be.
You know, like I could so be Batman. I just gotta have just my.
Everyone can wear the mask.
Yeah.
You could wear the mask.
But
full Miles Morales. No, all in all though, like I know we have our fair share of gripes with the movie, but I do really enjoy it. You know, I think this is, you know, it is interesting to think about where it compares to other Batman movies so far for me. You know, I think it stacks up to the best. You know, I think that if Batman Mask of Phantasm is kind of our gold standard of Batman movies so far, it's easily the best live action Batman movie so far.
Yeah,
you know, Batman Returns Forever and Batman and Robin. I have no doubt that this is the best Batman movie so far.
Yeah, it is 100% closer. I don't know if it is on the same. I think it could be very well on the same level as Mask of Phantasm, but it is way closer to that than it is the next closest, which I think is Batman Returns. No, Batman Forever. Looks like is our highest enjoyment actually, but that one I guess just makes sense. Like that's just purely. Or wait, am I getting them mixed up?
No, Forever is the next highest. You got that right.
Yeah. Okay. But I mean, this is probably my favorite Batman movie that we've covered so far. If I had to choose, like it's between this or Mask of Phantasm, and they're both just incredibly different, like so different, like opposite ends of the spectrum for Batman movies. Like
right,
well, animated, completely, you know, like just Mask of Phantasm very short as well, and like not even like that long of a movie. Like it's just very contained, very like much more of a character piece. That one,
yeah,
I feel like
literally almost half the runtime. An hour and 15 minutes, 75 minutes compared to 140 minutes in Batman Begins. Like it's,
but
of the ones we've covered so far, I think it'd be its best comparison. You know, like
and I wonder how much my childhood is like, in my nostalgia is kind of like getting into this, because this was the Batman. You know, Bale was the Batman I grew up with. You know, if it's animated, oh my god.
Kevin Conroy.
Thank you. Wow, that's so sad. Yeah, Kevin Conroy. It was, if it's animated or if I'm hearing Batman, I was hearing Kevin Conroy playing the games, doing whatever. But if I was watching Batman, like it was Christian Bale. I was watching Dark Knight over and over and over. Like
I'm actually in a completely different boat. I didn't get to Christian Bale's Batman until I was older. I watched Kilmer and Clooney and Adam West and the animation. That was like my childhood Batman. That's because crazy. I was like, that was the Batman for kids, really. You know, like it was. That's true. That was who it was for. I didn't watch The Dark Knight until I was 18. Really? Yeah.
Wow.
It took me a long time to get around to it, which allowed me to view it with I think a little bit more mature brain. I'm not blinded by nostalgia with the Nolan Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah, I guess it's not even really nostalgic, because I wonder how old I actually was. Because like Batman, I played the games and stuff, but like I think I was just so much more into Spider-Man that I just really never watched a lot of like the old Batman stuff, like whenever it was out. And then because Dark Knight, like I remember watching it a lot with my brother, but like I bet I was actually older than I think I was. Like
right, because it came out when we were 8.
Yeah, and I was older than 8. I mean, I probably watched it around then, but I feel like
it came out in 2008.
My young teen years was definitely like Bale, like dominant.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I started getting into Christian Bale for Batman.
No, I remember I was at college with my roommate Tillman, who has joined us on numerous occasions for several things. And we were talking about superhero movies because we had like a Black Panther poster on our wall. We absolutely loved that movie, and we were talking about superhero movies that we wanted to see but haven't yet. And I was like, I haven't watched The Dark Knight, and he just like flipped on me and turned it on and was like, "You're fucking watching it right now." And I was very glad I did, and it led me to watch Batman Begins and The Dark Knight Rises and stuff. And I adore these movies, man. I don't associate them with my childhood the way I do Batman Forever and Batman and Robin and Spider-Man and all these other movies, but I can view them in a way that reminds me of a different time in my life, and I really do appreciate him for that reason. And Batman Begins, I think that I'll need to rewatch the trilogy. It's been a while since I've rewatched this trilogy, but off the gut feeling, it probably is my favorite. I don't think it's the best, but I think it might be my favorite of this trilogy.
Yeah. For Batman. I think that's an important distinction. As a Batman movie, this is the best portrayal or like work of Batman that's done. The other movies are probably better in the sense that they just feel a little more complete, like with just how great the villains are played. Like, I mean, that they just, Heath Ledger is just, I mean, and like you're right, Harvey gets pushed to the side because of Heath Ledger, but they are both like incredibly done. And I mean, yeah, the same for here though. Like the villains were done well here, but Batman is still the strength of the movie. Like even though the villains are done well, so I don't know if it's the first one I would go to watch out of the trilogy. Like if I was just gonna go watch a Batman movie, probably still gonna be The Dark Knight. It's just because I'm just most comfortable with that one. And I swear I know every line. Like the window that blows up at the beginning, like that they put the freaking chute to go across the roof. It's like this slow shot of like a skyscraper, and it slowly zooms in, and it like I know the window from like immediately because me and my brother would literally like try to guess the window before and like put our finger on the TV, and then but eventually it just got to the point after we watched it 800 times that we know the window. But like so I think like I go back to Dark Knight first just because of that. But this one like was a very pleasant like. I was like, wow, I like this a lot more than I thought I would. Like maybe this becomes the comfort Batman movie. I don't know. But I'll have to give Dark Knight a rewatch to officially say that. But yeah, no, I do like it though. I like the best Batman movie of the trilogy, but maybe not the best overall.
Yeah.
I think this movie too really kind of reshaped the superhero genre in general. After this, I mean, I think a lot of the superhero movies we have now owe itself to Nolan's vision here and the grittiness of it and the more grounded realism of this movie than other movies. Like I was thinking of Winter Soldier a lot when I was watching this one.
Oh yeah, no, it's certain, and it beyond. Yeah, I was gonna say just beyond Batman. Like it obviously recontextualized Batman, and it recontextualized a lot of what people expect of superhero movies, in sometimes for the good and a lot of times, in my opinion, for the bad. People are like, oh, I want my movies to be realistic, like Nolan's Batman movies. And I'm like, no, fuck. Like, I'm like, that's fine. You can like what you like, but it doesn't make a movie bad to be fantastical. It doesn't make a movie automatically bad because, oh, this just isn't quite believable. There's all sorts of shit in these movies that's not quite believable, man. Like, that's
science. Of
the
vaccine Lucius Fox makes. I'm like, you did what? In 2 days?
You're watching a superhero movie to begin with. You're going in.
This bothers me, man. And but that's the thing, is that it's influenced a lot of people's tastes, like a whole generation's taste, I would argue. Like there's a lot of people who You know, it was the reason that when Zack Snyder came around, a lot of people glommed onto him because it was this dark, grittier feel. It was kind of not a continuation of Nolan by any means. It was still, I would say it's still more fantastical than Nolan, but they were like, oh, it's that dark, gritty feeling that I've been looking for since the Nolan trilogy, and we just haven't gotten back to. And it's you know, I think that it has its place, and I'm glad that it exists in many regards. That's why I think it's part of why the Batman is as good as it is. You know, and that's my comfort Batman movie. You know, that's my favorite one. But you know, there's a lot of room for a lot of different types of movies, and I think that I think this is as fantastical as the Nolan trilogy gets, which is why I think it's probably my favorite. You know, like it is a little bit more out there. It has those notes of horror that the other movies don't quite, and
that's true.
I think that makes it a lot of fun. It's just I think this one, I think more so than either of the other movies, I can call this one fun, which I don't think.
I think it has a cast that's a lot more cohesive than the other two movies. I think the entire ensemble comes together, and like no one is badly cast in this movie. And I can't say that about the other two. I think that the other two have notable great casts and notable terrible casts. This one I think is much more of an ensemble piece.
Yeah, everyone's doing well. Yeah,
team up, you know, there's like no team up or anything else.
Yeah, I guess it's probably. I wonder if it's harder or easier to like do the origin movie of like a superhero, because I think the world was built, and they maybe they knew Joker was gonna they really wanted to wait to do Joker, and they wanted to wait for the second movie after the world has been built, and maybe that's why Dark Knight just is so it just goes well because the world
you hit the ground running with that one for sure.
But this, I don't know, I feel like it's kind of harder because you have to build that world.
It's
at
grand,
first. You have to do everything. Yeah, it's and the fact that everyone is doing so well in their role. You're right. This one, it's every character is doing very well. And they feel like Alfred and Rachel and Bruce, this small little family that they have. And it just it works so well in the movie, and then you get Fox being kind of brought in, well, I didn't know who else to call. I have Fox, he was just standing there in the background, I guess, while Bruce was waking up, waiting to walk in, all creepy, but I don't know, just this small little family, and they all, I
can watch a whole movie of Lucius and Alfred just hanging out.
Dude, Michael Caine and Morgan Freeman, just give me more of that. That'd be awesome. Yeah, just an Alfred and Lucius
Fox.
Yeah, little shorts or something, a little spin-off. Just
doing normal.
Just going off, having, because Batman, we always see what Batman does, but we hear what he tells Alfred to do, but we never actually see Alfred do the thing. Alfred has to do a whole lot.
Yeah. Alfred's busy.
Man. And he's also a butler on top of that. He's also making sure. Yeah, he's making his food. He's doing everything. Alfred is a king. Yeah, no, I'm not mad about switching back to Alfred for my character now. I'm definitely switching back to him for character.
Good choice. It's a good choice.
Alfred
I think he's the most consistent element of the trilogy. As far as the character who doesn't waver at all as far as characterization or presence, I feel like he's always there and he's always good at what he's doing, and
yeah. I mean, he's the one that gets me to cry in
Rises.
I think it's
that's the most effective.
Oh my gosh, dude!
That's the one where Michael Caine might get a performance nod later.
Is that in the mansion when it's all and he's crying himself on the stairwell, dude.
Performance in that movie.
Man, he's
fucking good in that. He's fucking great in this whole trilogy. Michael Caine's he's just a fantastic actor. But let's see what else we got. Do we have any more favorites to dole out, or is it
performance and character? I think we've all done scene. I think my line. I don't think any of us have said our line yet. I've alluded to mine, but I don't know if I'm actually going with it. But I don't think any of us have done
Let's start with
yet.
Claire then. What do you think your favorite line of the movie is?
I always do this. I have two. But I will say my first favorite, and then if no one says my other one, then I'll say that one. So my favorite line is a line that I think kind of sums up what the entire trilogy is kind of saying about Batman, and it's when Bruce is coming out of the hotel and he's all dripping wet, and then Rachel's coming in, and it's the line where she tells him, what exactly does she say? It's not who you are underneath; it's what you do that defines you. Because a lot of the time in the whole trilogy, he's getting that feedback of like, I need to be a symbol, I need to be more than a person, I need to be a legend. But I think what the trilogy does is kind of unmask that and show who he actually is, and that's based on what he does. It's not about what he really. It's not about, who anyone thinks that he is. It's about what he actually is. And I love that it comes back to something that Rachel said to him so early on in his journey.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. And that kind of does define the journey he eventually goes on, is him, at the end, whenever she's like holding his face and she's like, maybe you'll get back to that. That is the journey the character goes on, is by the end of the trilogy being comfortable just being Bruce Wayne, that's, and I love that they set that up so cohesively in this first movie.
I love that Joker in the next one is like really pushing against that, because he has a story that keeps evolving. He's telling you a lot of different things about who he is, and so I just like that idea of like, you are what you do.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
That's going to be a fun one to talk about. But man, Rachel just really delivered a lot of the good lines of this movie.
Good fucking character, man.
She did it was really well too, because she'd be like berating him, but she's not yelling at him. She's very compassionate.
Letting Bruce know clearly how she thinks. Like, it's not up in the air. It's like very clear. Like, and I didn't know if I was going to go with Alfred for my character, so I had a line just in case, so I would make sure I had something Alfred. And it was whenever the log's on top of him, and he just says, what's the point of all the bloody push-ups? But I think my actual favorite line of the movie is either the first time after the court case and Bruce was like, yeah, I was going to kill him. He like revealed that he had the gun, and then Rachel slaps him twice and is like, your father would be ashamed of you. Either that one, because like the delivery was so good, and then like seeing Christian Bale, like just
him wrecking with that,
a really good scene like there. Like even like she took him down to Falcone, like, we all know where he is. He's right there. Go ahead if you want to do something about it. Like she was just very, I don't know. I loved her in that scene. So it's either that whenever she tells him that your father would be ashamed of you, or at the end whenever it's like, your father would be very proud of you, as am I. Like just like they always had these payoffs. Like every line that was said, there was some payoff. Like even it's not who you are underneath. Like that was the payoff to let Rachel know who he is. Like, Bruce. Like, oh,
that's
man.
something about Christopher Nolan's scripts that is really, really good and really, really simple and straightforward. Is that there's always a line at some point in the movie that really keys you into your character's headspace. Like, and the way that those headspaces evolve and the expectations are met and everything evolves. Like he always does a really good job at that. And The Dark Knight specifically, well, I'll have a lot more examples to be able to tell you then, but it always has these moments where it's like, all right, this is the thesis for this part of the movie. This is where Batman's at. Then he delivers a line in the second act of the movie where you're like, oh, okay, now this is where he's at. And then he delivers a line in the third act. It's like he's evolving very literally in his dialogue, and it's really compelling that way. But my line is it's a classic. I could not go with it because I always think of it with Alfred. Is why do we fall, sir? So we can learn to pick ourselves up. I love that. The callback to something Thomas used to say.
Yeah.
Like, so great.
Oh, dude. Like, and then like it's his mansion was all burned down. They're at the bottom of the elevator. Alfred's hurt too. That. Like he's
well,
down.
He told him that this house was their legacy and stuff, and then he's like,
"What am I gonna do? It's all gone. Like, our history."
Legacy more than brick and mortar, sir. Yeah,
Alfred
he's fucking
is
good.
just golden. Alfred's too good.
What a king! What a king! Man. But is that it? Is that all the favorites we had left to do?
And then a shot. I think I did mine. I did get it down. I'll choose the cave with all the bats flying around when he stands.
I chose the ugly ass Batman all frothing at the mouth with black
ugly
goo.
ass. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then, but I don't know if we got one.
And Claire, what
did
do
you say
you
one?
think?
I just might not have taken it down.
No, I don't think I said it. I think I have to go with the close-up shot of Cillian Murphy's eyes. They are so blue in this movie.
Pretty.
Which I also think might be Christopher Nolan's favorite shot of this movie, too.
Yeah, Claire sent me a tweet.
But yeah.
It's incredible. A little behind-the-scenes commentary where Christopher Nolan's talking about how he wants to get Cillian Murphy's glasses off as much as possible because he wants to see his eyes.
Yeah, it's very...
Wow. Yeah, I guess I've never really looked at his eye like
gorgeous
okay,
eyes.
Okay.
Beautiful.
They are so good.
Yeah. Okay. Now
No, I get it. I get it.
I understand.
The
Yeah. No. The research is conclusive.
Yeah.
It's very strong.
Beautiful man. Beautiful man. But does that leave us with a rating here?
I believe that is all that is left. Yeah. We're there.
Right. We're going to do it as we usually do, where our guest will go ahead and rate it alongside ours. So let's start with your enjoyment rating, Claire. How you feeling about this one?
It's got to be like a 9.5 out of 10.
Ooh, high praise. High praise. Love that.
It's high enjoyment for this movie.
Okay. That would
I'm not super far removed from that. You know, I have a lot of fun watching this movie. And let's see what have we been working with in the past as far as Batman movies are concerned, because that feels like the benchmark here.
Phantasm was at a 9. Batman Forever also at a 9. And then Batman Returns down to an 8. And then 89.775. I don't think we're there. So
I think I'm north of both Forever and Phantasm enjoyment wise. I think it's either a 9.25 or a 9.5 as Claire stated. So I think for me I'd lean towards 2.5 personally.
I think I'm there because 9.5 that'd be putting it on Superman level, and
not for me.
That first Superman movie, man, that is I don't know if it's quite there yet. But V for Vendetta would be the other 9.25 that we have, and
I feel good about that.
Yeah. I like that. So
a couple of 9.25s in a row then. That's good.
There we are.
All right. And then that we move on to the genre rating. You know, this sort of action adventure, probably crime. You know, this is probably a crime drama to an extent. How are you feeling about that? How well does this movie know itself?
Like I said before, I think this really kind of redefines the superhero genre. Coming off of watching Batman and Robin, it's so different. It's a totally different take on a superhero movie. So I think it's kind of hard to compare to anything else. And I think that it knows what it's trying to do really well. I would say it's also pretty high. I would say at least 8.5, 8.75 maybe.
All right. I'll go ahead and give it the little extra boost there for you and give it an 8.75 because I'm certainly around there. You know, I think this movie knows itself very, very well. I think that it even dips its foot into the horror pool every once in a while, which I really enjoy. You know, I think that in a movie with such strong themes about fear and that you have to do that, otherwise it's just going to kind of fall flat a little bit. I thought they did that very, very well. I think this movie knows itself about as well as any Batman movie we've covered, if not better. I'd go probably minimum 9 out of 10 personally.
Yeah, I mean, and that automatically puts it in between Phantasm and Return. Like the best, we gave Phantasm a 10 because it kind of
it recontextualized Batman himself.
Yeah. It kind of that's I don't think this is a 10, quite, but I do. I mean, it's damn near. Like I mean, this is I love this genre of Batman and the horror. You're right. Like it works for like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. Like just the little bits of horror that are thrown in there. You know, it worked well for that movie, but I think it works way better for Batman, where fear is like an actual, like very, very crucial part of Batman's story. And so yeah, I think like, and they handled it very well. Like the gross, like your shot, like that gross ass Batman. Like every time we saw like through the eyes of whoever was on Scarecrow's, you know, gas or whatever. Like it was I don't know, very done very well and added to it. So I think I'm at like 9.5, or just I don't know, maybe 9.5. I don't know if 9.75 is too high.
Yeah, for me, I end up landing around a 9.
Okay.
That's where my gut took me.
That's V for Vendetta.
Maybe 9.25. You know, maybe a little bump above it.
A little below the Raimi trilogy, then. I think that could actually.
I think as far as superhero movies are considered, you know, I don't think that a lot accomplishes the superhero vibe as much as Raimi's Spider-Man movies. I think they do a good job at that.
Okay. Yeah, maybe that putting it up on that level is a little too much. I do like that spot in between V for Vendetta and Spider-Man 2, though. That 9.25 there.
I like that. I can agree on that.
Cool.
It brings us to adaptation. How well of an adaptation are you feeling this is from the source material?
Only Mimi talked about the Ra's al Ghul issue, so that dings it a little bit. I just like all of the little details about how he came to have all his Batsuit and the Batmobile. I don't know how faithful to the adaptations that is.
Does it come in black?
Yeah, I like all of that. I don't know the comic books that well, so I don't know how much I can really say about this, but
Gotcha.
Maybe an 8.
It's not far off from what I was feeling. So, your gut is taking you in the right direction. The Ra's al Ghul stuff does give it a ding, but the twist itself works within the context of the movie, so I can I can logic my way out of it a little bit. You know, I can understand what led them down that path. So it's fine. You know, it's whatever. Does give it a ding though. The other thing is I don't have to kill you, but that doesn't mean I have to save you. That's the other part where I'm like, that's not something Batman should or would do. However, that's still better than Keaton's Batman, which we gave a 7.5. I do think they got the essence of the character better in live action than most things have. I still think that Val Kilmer live action is the best portrayal of Batman himself we've seen. Not necessarily Bruce Wayne, or even as well performed as Christian Bale does here. But literally in its writing, I think it does a better job at capturing Bruce Wayne Batman than this movie did. I do end up landing at around an 8, maybe even a 7.75 on this one for adaptation. Yeah,
I do agree in the it's somewhere in between Batman 89 and Batman Forever, with like Val Kilmer and Michael Keaton there, and I think it's probably closer to Keaton.
I think so too.
Actually, there, so I think 7.75.
Because at least Batman Forever also got Two-Face and Riddler and all of that really, really down. Ra's al Ghul, that's one of our bigger gripes. One thing that I do think they nailed was Scarecrow. Don't think you can do Scarecrow on screen much better than they did here, unless you make him the main villain. That's the only thing that could make him even better.
I think I like 7.75 then. Kind of just that little bump above,
little bump down.
Keaton's Batman, but not quite Val Kilmer, because that's a full point below Val Kilmer, and I think I don't know. I think that
feels right to me. It feels right to me. But that leads us to critically. How good of a movie is this in every regard? Acting, filmmaking, visuals, score, all that. How are you feeling about that on a scale of 1 to 10, Claire?
I think that this is really strong. Like I said, the ensemble cast is just excellent. The script of this movie might be my favorite of the trilogy. I think it's really well written. I think the character is really well written. The only thing about it that I have an issue with is some of the cinematography. I find it to be kind of dark, kind of hard to see parts of it. But I don't think that that's a huge ding against it. I would give it at least a 9.
I'm right there with you. I think this is one of the best movies we've covered so far, which automatically elevates it pretty high. And it's certainly the best live action Batman we've done. And I think that, the thing that's given me pause is Batman Mask of the Phantasm at an 8.75, where I think that, it's every bit as well written, I think. But Batman Mask of Phantasm, like we said, is half the runtime. They accomplish it in such a short span of time that it's kind of like, that's so incredibly difficult and so impressive to do. But I don't think that necessarily hurts Batman Begins. I think it just gives us more time to relish in the character that they're laying out for us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I can appreciate that. And I do think that maybe a 9 is about where I end up coming down as well, especially looking at even more movies beyond that. We gave Superman 78 and 8.75. And I don't like to admit it, but I do think this is probably a better movie than that.
Yeah, I mean, apart from where I think like I would like a movie, what I would like a movie to look like, versus just kind of like the reality of watching a Nolan movie. Like Nolan knows like what he's doing pretty well. Like I mean,
I did not realize that giving it a 9 would make it critically the best movie we have so far.
Yeah.
And I guess that's probably right. The only things that would give it a run for its money would be Superman or Mask of Phantasm, like that would be it. And I do probably think it's a better movie than those.
This movie's kind of like an intersection of, damn, we can really make movies really, really well right now. Like the technology's just there, and like a lot of things are going, and like, I don't know, it's now not seen as like campy or whatever. Like this is like any one movie, like I feel like this is like it's reached a wider audience. It's like a weird kind of intersection in comic book movie time, because like I guess like before it, like we've had like, I guess Spider-Man came out, which still in that.
I don't think it's quite as good as this one.
Yeah. Let's see, like X2 was good, but
I think a 9 out of 10's it, man. I think we are looking at the best movie we've covered so far.
I think that makes sense. I mean, yeah, it's like.
What's
the best
wrong? Performed.
Yeah, yeah. What is wrong with this that we do know, like that we can say that is wrong with it?
Yeah, we expressed a lot of our distaste for it, but that ultimately affected adaptation and enjoyment more than anything. I can't really tell you, like the choices they make, I might not like them, but they were fine. It's not like I'm like, oh, this actively hurts the quality of this movie. It actively
I remember, like the twist of Roz, like the first time that I experienced it, I was like, what? Like, I remember like that was actually like, okay, that was sick. Like, I think it's like, it's written really well, like in that sense, like to keep you in on the story as well as just telling a really good Batman origin story.
Right.
So I think like it's written well, performed very, like everyone's firing.
Yeah,
visually,
my only concern would be a little bit visually, and even then, it's not like it's a bad looking movie. It's just
looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's just that I just know a movie could look better. That's all,
Is this the new king of critical?
I think it is. In terms of critical, it would not make it overall the best at a 9 out of 10, given all of our ratings, but it would make it critically the best at a 9 out of 10, because with that, it would come to an 88% for both of us. Claire and our rating comes to an 8.81, which is exactly the same as what we came to. On IMDb, this got an 8.2 out of 10. On Rotten Tomatoes, an 84% critically, a 94% audience-wise. So we're falling right in the middle there, which I can appreciate. Yeah, it's just a good movie, man. There's not a lot I can say that will lead me to the contrary. So I guess I just gotta nut up and admit that Nolan Bat movie. It's fine.
8.3.
It's fine.
That
basic bitch, sure.
No, it's okay. It's not wrong. You just it's kind of like Wes in ranking all that greatness is one's eventually just got to be below. You know, like it's all good, it's all great, but one's just eventually.
And this is
be
our
below.
best right now. It will not be our best in the future.
Yeah, like we'll get there. Yeah, we'll get there. It ties it with V for Vendetta overall, which is interesting. Like the average, just dead on tie with that. A little bit below Spider-Man 2, but it's tied for fifth place overall for every movie we got so far.
I think it dead ties V for Vendetta. I feel like it's a little bit above it.
8.38.
Batman Begins came to an 8.81.
If I scroll down just one more movie, I am now on the looking at the correct number. Wow.
Yeah.
I really, I had it at a point where I could, okay, this is just Excel talk now and no one cares. So I'm just going to stop. But yeah, I need to fix this.
Yeah, that puts it top 5 overall.
Never mind. Yeah, so
below
it is
Superman,
above,
Spider-Man, Mask of
but still
Phantasm,
below,
and
yeah.
Spider-Man 2.
Never mind, but it's still in 5th place though, but just
Still
not
in
tied.
5th.
Not tied.
Yeah, top 5, and that's where I did my own little. We update the letterbox ranking, and it came in at 4th for me. I edited. I came off the V for Vendetta high, and I moved it down a little bit.
Really?
So it comes in at 4th, above V for Vendetta, and below Mask of Phantasm is where
I think. Yeah, I can't quite put it. I think it's gonna fall in the same spot for me. Like I can't put it above Spider-Man 2 quite yet. Like in every movie that's above Spider-Man 2,
it's just not getting
already
touched.
there. But I do like it more than V for Vendetta. So it's at my number 5 too.
Nice. Well then, any last thoughts here on Batman Begins?
Solid start to the trilogy.
Solid start to the trilogy. One of the best origin films we've had so far, no doubt. Up there with the likes of Superman and Spider-Man, certainly. But man, I can't wait for The Dark Knight now. That's it's the next time we've got you slated to appear. I know that we haven't recorded the Barbie episode yet, but we will have already released it by the time this comes out.
Wow.
You are also more than welcome to join us for the Greta Gerwig or even the Christopher Nolan ones coming up. Whatever you got in mind, I'll send you a list, and you can take your pick. You're an open invite, so anytime you want on, you just let me know. With that, we'll conclude this episode. If you would, head to patreon.com/PennyBloomPod, where you'll find over 50 hours of exclusive content, including written comic book reviews, movie reviews, book reviews, and the like. For $1.50 a month, you can support this podcast financially and get written reviews in return. That's basically just movie reviews at this point, and some comic book reviews in the future. For $3 a month, you can support this podcast financially and get all our audio content, along with any fictional writings we might do. What's the publishing date technically here? A couple weeks back, I put out a short story on patreon.com/PennyBloomPod that I'm excited to share, and I'm excited to have shared, and I want y'all to read it. It's very fulfilling to do some fictional writing. It was fun. But yeah, so support this podcast financially. It's huge. Cost me money. I don't make any off of it unless it's over there. Head to Twitter, follow @PennyBloomPod, follow on Instagram @PennyBloomPodcast. Remember to leave a 5-star rate and review wherever it is that you might be listening. That is a huge help. We just concluded our Christopher Nolan director spotlight last week. Covered 4 movies in a row there, concluding with Oppenheimer. We covered Barbie earlier this week with Claire to kick off a Greta Gerwig director spotlight. So we've got Lady Bird and Little Women over the next couple weeks. I'm very excited for that. And then we're going to do a little John Wick watch through here in a few weeks after that. I'm excited for that. So got a lot going on, a lot of movies to cover, a lot of fun to have. We're covering Fantastic Four next week for the comic book movie journey, which is a personal favorite of mine. I love that one. It might not be the best, but I love it. But yeah, with that, I was Colton Robertson. I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Oh, thank you for having me. Always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. And thank you once again for joining us, Clare DeGennaro.
Thank you so much for having me again.
Oh, of course, anytime, like I said. And remember, peace, love, and bloom. And why do we fall, sir?